is the witness, you still under oath, sir?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, my lady.
Yes, Mr. Roy.
Mr. Lin, we now at page 11.
Yes.
And dealing now with the possible sound attenuation between the sound source and listeners at the approximate 177 meters away.
Yes. Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Scenario number 1. If the sound source emanates from the toilet with a closed door and a window, sound attenuation at the sound source side, closed toilet window, offers an estimated 25 dB sound attenuation averaged over the mid-frequencies. Closed toilet door with a second sound path through the open bathroom window, but attenuated by an estimated of 29 dB averaged over mid-frequencies through the closed door and the small opening of the window. Sound transmission. The model result indicates that for a sound signal to travel through 177 meters airspace between the source of the sound and the listening position, the sound would have attenuated by between 43 and 47 dB, averaged over the mid-frequencies. Next point. This would have depended on variables such as the ground conditions, for example, grassland, hard ground conditions, temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, etc. at the time of the event. Next point, at the listener's side, subpoint, no further sound attenuation if standing on the balcony. Second subpoint, open or close balcony door not in a direct line of sight to the sound source. If open, the sound attenuation through the balcony door not in a line of sight is estimated to be 20 dB at mid-frequencies. If the door is closed, an estimated 35 dB sound attenuation averaged over mid-frequencies is expected. Subpoint, open or close window facing the sound source with a limited opening into the bedroom. If the window was open, an estimated 3 dB sound attenuation average over the mid-frequencies can be expected. If the window was closed, an estimated sound attenuation of 30 dB averaged over the mid-frequencies can be expected. Concluding point for this scenario, total sound attenuation in this scenario, between 68 dB listening on the balcony to 102 dB attenuation listening in the bedroom with a window facing the bathroom and the window closed, average over the mid-frequencies. Next scenario. If the sound source emanated from the bathroom with the open window, sound attenuation at the sound source side, the sound source in the bathroom would attenuate by approximately 9 dB average over the mid-frequencies through the open bathroom window. Sound transmission. The model result indicate that for a sound signal to travel through the 177 meter airspace between the source of the sound and the listener's position, the sound would have attenuated by between 43 and 47 dB, average over the mid-frequencies. Next point. This would have depended on variables such as the ground conditions, example, grassland or hard ground conditions, temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, etc. at the time of the event. Next point, at the listener's side, no further sound attenuation if standing on a balcony. Next point, open or close balcony door not in a direct line of sight on the sound source, to the sound source. If open, the sound attenuation through the balcony door not in a line of sight is estimated to be 20 dB, averaged over the mid-frequencies. If the door is closed, an estimated 35 dB sound attenuation average over the mid-frequencies is expected. Next subpoint, open or close window facing the sound source with a limited opening into the bedroom. If the window was open, an estimated 3 dB sound attenuation average over the mid-frequencies can be expected. If the window was closed, an estimated sound attenuation of 30 dB average over the mid-frequencies can be expected. Concluding point for this scenario, Total sound attenuation in this scenario, between 52 dB listening on a balcony to 86 dB listening in the bedroom with the window facing bathroom and the window closed. Average over the mid-frequencies. Next scenario. If the sound source emanated from the balcony, sound attenuation at the sound source site, subpoint, depending where the sound source was standing. Sound source at the balcony may or may not have a direct line of sight to the balcony of the house at 177 meters away. The possible sound attenuation at the source may vary between 0 to 15 dB, average over the mid-frequencies. Next point, sound transmission. The model results indicate that for a sound signal to travel through the 177-meter airspace between the source of the sound and the listener's position, the sound would have attenuated by between 43 and 47 dB, average over the mid-frequencies. This would have depended on variables such as the ground conditions, for example, grassland, hard ground conditions, temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, etc. at the time of the event. Next point, at the listener's side, subpoint, no further sound attenuation if standing on a balcony. Next subpoint, open or close balcony door not in a direct line of sight to the sound source. If open, the sound attenuation through the balcony door not in a line of sight is estimated to be 20 dB average over the mid-frequency. If the door is closed, an estimated 35 dB sound attenuation average over the mid-frequencies is expected. Next subpoint, open or close window facing the sound source. With a limited opening into the bedroom, if the window was open, an estimated 3 dB sound attenuation average over the mid-frequencies can be expected. If the window was closed, an estimated sound attenuation of 30 dB average over the mid-frequencies can be expected. Concluding point for this scenario, total sound attenuation in this scenario between 43 dB listening on a balcony to 92 dB listening in the bedroom with a window facing bathroom and the window closed, average over the mid-frequencies. Shall I continue?
Thank you.
Expected sound level at plus minus 80 meters away. With the above analysis, based on an average human screaming level of 110 dBA. Subpoint. If the sound source emanated from the toilet, the expected sound levels are: on the balcony, range between 46 dBA to 48 dBA. In the bedroom, range between 41 dBA to 45 dBA. Next point. If the sound source emanated from the bathroom, the expected sound levels are: on the balcony, range between 62 dBA to 64 dBA. In the bedroom, range between 57 dBA to 61 dBA. Next scenario, next point. If the sound source emanated from the balcony, the expected sound levels are: on the balcony, range between 56 dBA to 73 dBA. In the bedroom, range between 51 dBA to 68 dBA. Expected sound level at plus minus 177 meters away. With above analysis, based on an average human scream level of 110 dBA. If the sound source emanated from the toilet, the expected sound levels are: on the balcony, range between 38 dBA to 42 dBA. In a bedroom, range between 8 dBA to 22 dBA. If the sound source emanated from the bathroom, the expected sound levels are: on the balcony, range between 54 dBA to 58 dBA. In a bedroom, range between 24 dBA to 38 dBA. If the sound source emanated from the balcony, the expected sound levels are: on the balcony, range between 48 dBA to 67 dBA. In a bedroom, between 18 dBA to 47 dBA. From my experience, as typically measured in similar quiet luxury housing estates, the background or ambient noise level inside or on a balcony of the listener's house in the early hours of the morning will be in a range between 20 dBA and 45 dBA. Now, can one reliably differentiate between a male and a female scream at a distance of 80 meters and 170 meters? Can one reliably discern the emotion of a scream from about 80 and 177 meters away, respectively? At plus minus 80 meters away, if the sound emanated from the toilet, subpoint, if the listeners were on the balcony, a scream emanating from the toilet at source can range from 46 dBA to 48 dBA, based on ambient noise level at the listening's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA. Thus, the sound is in a range of audible and intelligible. Next point: if the listeners were in the bedroom, a scream emanating from the toilet at source can range from 41 dBA to 45 dBA. Based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA, the sound can range from audible and possibly intelligible to audible and intelligible. Second scenario: if the sound emanated from the bathroom, if the listeners were on the balcony, a scream emanating from the bathroom at source can range from 62 dBA to 64 dBA. Based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA, the sound is in the range of audible and intelligible. Last scenario: if the listeners were in the bedroom, a scream emanating from the bathroom at source can range from 57 dBA to 61 dBA. Based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA, the sound is in the range of audible and intelligible. Last scenario: if the sound emanates from a balcony. If the listeners were on the balcony, a scream emanating from the balcony at source can range from 56 dBA to 73 dBA. Based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location between 20 dBA to 45 dBA, the sound can range from audible and intelligible to very audible and intelligible. If the listeners were in the bedroom, a scream emanating from the balcony at source can range from 51 dBA to 68 dBA. Based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA, the sound is in the range of audible and intelligible. At plus minus 177 meters away, if the sound emanated from the toilet, if the listeners were on the balcony, a scream from the toilet at source can range from 38 dBA to 42 dBA. Based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location between 20 dBA to 45 dBA, the sound is in a range of audible and possibly intelligible. If the listeners were in the bedroom, a scream from the toilet at source can range from 8 dBA to 22 dBA. Based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA, the sound can range from not audible to extremely unlikely to be audible. If the sound emanated from the bathroom, if the listeners was on the balcony, a scream emanating from the bathroom at source can range from 54 dBA to 58 dBA. Based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA, the sound is in the range of audible and intelligible. If the listeners were in the bedroom, a scream emanating from the bathroom at source can range from 24 dBA to 38 dBA, based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA. The sound can range from very unlikely to be audible to audible and possibly intelligible. If the sound emanated from the balcony, if the listeners were on the balcony, a scream emanating from the balcony at source can range from 48 dBA to 67 dBA, based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA. The sound is in the range of audible and intelligible. If the listeners were in the bedroom, a scream emanating from the balcony at source can range from 18 dBA to 47 dBA, based on the ambient noise level at the listener's location of between 20 dBA to 45 dBA. The sound can range from extremely unlikely to be audible to audible and intelligible. The objective basic scientific process stated above indicates that the listeners may have heard a scream at 80 meters away, irrespective if the scream was from the toilet, the bathroom, or the balcony. However, at 177 meters away, if the scream was from the toilet, it is very unlikely that a listener can hear the scream, let alone interpret the sound source reliably. If the screams were from the bathroom, the listeners may have heard a scream and may possibly be able to interpret the sound under certain conditions. The above illustrates that due to the large range of variables, a range of possible results may be expected. It is not possible that one can model the original event with absolute reliability. It is demonstrated above and summarized in the result summary below to what extent a scream can be audible and to what extent a scream could be intelligible. The last point, as the act of listening is subjective and based on interpretation, the question whether a person could reliably discern emotions and differentiate between a male and a female scream would be within the domain of the court. The aim of this report is to demonstrate on a scientific basis, although not exact, and based on my experience, to what extent a scream could be audible and or intelligible, and whether the listener's interpretation may not be reliable, as set out in the result summary below.
And then on the next page, you go to it's really summarizing what you've said, the result summaries. You can just look at that.
Okay.
In the summary, you deal with the sound source locations, 1, the toilet, 2, the bathroom, and 3, the balcony. And then where the listeners would be at 80 meters away on the balcony and in the bedroom, and at 177 meters away on the balcony and in the bedroom.
Yes.
Just go through that.
Okay. When the sound source is in the toilet and the source side, at 80 meters away, expected range on the balcony at the listener's side is 46 dBA, which is audible and intelligible, to 48 dBA, audible and intelligible. If the listener is in the bedroom, the range will be 41 dBA, which is audible and possibly intelligible, to 45 dBA, audible and intelligible. However, at 177 meters away, the expected range heard at the listener position on the balcony is from 38 dBA, which is audible and possibly intelligible, to 42 dBA, which is audible and possibly intelligible. If the listener is in the bedroom, the range of sound will be between 8 dBA, which is not audible, to 22 dBA, which is extremely unlikely to be audible. At this point, I'd like to bring to attention that this result is based on ambient noise level. In the absence of ambient noise level, the interpretation could be different. However, is ambient noise level present? And we stated above, on the result summary, the source average is 110 dBA. The ambient noise level is 20 to 45 dBA, and that must be used as a reference.
You did not take into account at all possibility of dog sparking.
I think we mentioned that in one of the paragraphs previously. Where was?
And then may I ask for a very short adjournment again dealing with the recording, just to make sure that everything is being recorded properly. She just needs an opportunity to listen to the recording and ensure.
We'll take a short break.
I can, yes, thank you. Is this a 7-minute VT?
7 minutes on a VT. It might be wrong. 7 minutes on the VT.
Sorry?
How do they know we're not ready? How do they see it?
No, I've no idea what's happened. There's obviously been a change in personnel.
Wat gaan nou weer aan? Dit klinkt zo smooth dat het raakt, maar wat komt nou? Iemand zei daar zo. You know, he is with football. Kirsten praat nie met my. So hoor. Maar as ek moet sê, hoe kan hulle VT speel? As hulle weet ons is reg. Sien hulle ons goed doen wat?
Court doesn't close to.
Still under oath, Mr. Lim?
Yes.
Thank you
So
very
then,
much.
when we adjourn, I ask you, for purposes of this result summary, that you take, for instance, barking dogs into account.
No.
If there were dogs barking, what would that do?
The perception will be interfered.
Now, you've dealt with the source in the toilet. If you can go to, in the summary, the source in the bathroom.
Yes. If the sound source was from the bathroom, at 80 meters away, if the listener is standing on the balcony, the range will be between 62 dBA, which is audible and intelligible, up to 64 dBA, which is audible and intelligible. If the listeners are in the bedroom, the range will be between 57 dBA to 61 dBA. Sorry, the 57 dBA will be audible and intelligible. 61 dBA will also be audible and intelligible. At 177 meters away, if the listeners are on the balcony, the range will be between 54 dBA, which is audible and intelligible, to 58 dBA, audible and intelligible. If the listeners are in the bedroom, the range will be between 24 dBA, which is very unlikely to be audible, to 38 dBA, audible and possibly intelligible. If the sound source was from the balcony, at 80 meters away, if the listeners were on the balcony, the range would be between 56 dBA, which is audible and intelligible, to 73 dBA, which is very audible and intelligible. If the listeners were in the bedroom, the range would be between 51 dBA, which is audible and intelligible, to 68 dBA, which is audible and intelligible. At 177 meters away, if the listeners were on the balcony, the sound will be from 48 dBA, which is audible and maybe intelligible, to 67 dBA, very audible and intelligible. If listeners were in the bedroom, the sound range will be between 18 dBA, which is extremely unlikely to be audible, to 47 dBA, which is audible and intelligible.
Now, you made reference throughout to dBAs. Do you have any instrument that would assist in measuring the dBAs?
Yes,
or the decibels?
Brought along professional sound level meter, which is just been calibrated.
What meter is that? I'm sorry, Mr. Lee.
A sound level meter, which is a professional meter. This one is classified as type 1 or class 1 meter, by just being calibrated on 13th of May by national authorities, the calibration authorities. And this can show the level we're hearing at the moment, and it actually can show the actual number and what we're hearing as a reference.
So, for instance, if I'm not talking, what would it register there at the moment?
I'm now going to measure the ambient noise level of this court. If I could request everybody just keep quiet for 2 seconds. With the typing, I could hear the ambient noise level is 38 dBA, but it's very faint.
Is that 38?
It's 38, yeah. And I think for the purpose of it will be easier for my lady to see, I've brought along a much bigger version, which is not the calibrated meter, but it's been calibrated quite closely, resemble a professional meter, what a professional meter will show. So I think that it's probably easier for you to see as a reference.
So if you maybe can assist the court, you're talking and just say what the dB is then on this instrument, if you're talking.
I'm talking softly like this at my position. Obviously, I have to explain that the level of measurement is dependent on who is measuring. Obviously, I'm speaking from here now. the meter is quite close to me. So at your listening position, sound will be softer. So what I'll be measuring at your position will be softer than what is showing here. But right now, at this position, if I'm talking here, about a meter away, I'm talking softly at the moment, which is about 47, 52, 53, 47, 49, 50, 51, 50.
And where I'm standing here, for instance, and I'm talking to you now, what would that register?
Can you continue for me?
Well, I will have to repeat the question or something
Please.
just to get it registered.
About 45. 45.
Just to give the court an indication what we're talking about.
Yes.
But that's the type of instrument that you obviously use the professional one. But is that widely used in the industry?
Well, the professional meter
Yes.
is widely used in industry, and for certification reasons, for legal reasons, has to be a type 1 calibrated meter. However, we use this for illustration purposes, just for easier to understand. And so also easier to illustrate that the sound is not absolute in terms of level. It changes according to time all the time. So as I'm speaking now, you can see the meter varying all the time.
As you're speaking now, what does it show when you're speaking?
Yeah,
like
speaking now, it's about between 60 to 70 dBA. That's the typical noise level in the open plane office environment.
that? Thank you, my lady. I have no further questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roo. Yes, Mr. Nell?
It is a good lady, Leonard. Assessors, we received this report that's of a very technical nature when the witness stepped into the box. Although I don't foresee hours of cross-examination, my lady, I do need time to go through this report, consult with somebody, my lady, so I need time. Could we perhaps have the adjournment, and I'll be ready to proceed with cross-examination tomorrow at 9:30.
I think it's a reasonable request. Yes, Mr. Roo?
I have no submission. Thank you, my lady.
Did you say 9 or 9:30?
9:30, my lady.
9:30.
Yes.
We'll resume tomorrow morning at 9:30.
As the court pleases.
Kan je ook bij de